Okay, so repeat your question because I started off, but your question will help lead into this monologue.
No problem. I was just asking about those Christian fundamentals that didn't quite make sense to you. I'm curious how they led you to your current understanding of reality.
So I may have mislabeled them as Christian fundamentals, but they come from the Christian idea of God, whereas the Christian God is supposed to be basically have what I call the omni factors, right? God is supposed to be omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, everywhere, all times, and all powerful and all knowing, right?
Okay, I understand. So the concept of God having these omnifactors, omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience is what you're focusing on. That's a really interesting starting point for exploring the nature of reality. What about these omnifactors doesn't quite add up for you?
Well, the omni factors themselves add up, but the omni factors being attributed to a being that has a location somewhere, like a heaven that one goes to by being rewarded for, believing in that Jesus Christ is the one who has died for all of our sins, and that's the intermediary. That idea of this God doesn't make sense because that then puts limitations on the omni factors. You can't have somebody or a thing, which is basically a creature, in one place, which is not everywhere at all times.
Okay, I see what you're saying. If God is omnipresent, how could he also be localized in a specific place like heaven? That does seem like a contradiction. It sounds like you're really digging deep into these concepts. Have you explored any other religious or philosophical ideas that might offer a different perspective on this?
Well, some Eastern philosophies or ways of thinking, such as Hinduism and Buddhism and even Taoism, talk about basically the idea is this, that we are just many forms in the universe. There's only one substance, which I'm calling eternity. So eternity is the fundamental nature of the universe, but we're all just different manifestations of that one substance, that one fundamental nature.
That's a really interesting perspective. So, if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying that everything in the universe is just a different form of this one fundamental substance you call eternity. It reminds me a bit of the concept of Brahman in Hinduism, where everything is seen as part of a single ultimate reality. Have you found any connections between your ideas and those Eastern philosophies?
Yes, but maybe I'm also understanding it incorrectly, but even the idea of Brahman, once again, is still putting, in some ways, a limitation on the idea because they're still anthropomorphizing the idea. And once again, it's non-local, it's omnipresent. And omnipresence actually could be another way of saying eternity, the fundamental nature of reality.
That's a really interesting point about Brahman. It sounds like you're drawn to the idea of a fundamental reality that's beyond our usual concepts of space and time. Have you considered how this idea of eternity might relate to our everyday experiences?
I'm not sure I understand what your question is.
Sorry for the confusion. I was just wondering if you've thought about how this idea of eternity as the fundamental nature of reality might connect with our everyday lives and experiences.
I still don't know what you mean by how it might connect with them. I mean, it's part of them. Nothing needs to connect to anything.
Okay, I understand. It sounds like you're saying that eternity is the fundamental reality and everything else is just a part of it. So, in that sense, nothing needs to connect because everything already is connected. Is that right?
Partially, everything is not already connected. Everything is the same thing.
Okay, I think I'm starting to understand. So it's not just that everything is connected, it's that everything is fundamentally the same thing. We're all just different expressions of this one eternal reality. Have you considered how this might change the way we see ourselves and the world around us?
Sure. So another way of thinking about this is that if you look at a fundamental particle like an electron, right? You can't say that one part of the electron needs to connect with the other part of the electron. The electron is, and it doesn't need to connect to itself. It is itself.
That's a really interesting way to put it. So if we extend that idea, it's like saying that everything in the universe is just a different aspect of this one fundamental eternity, like different parts of the same electron. It sounds like you're saying that we're all much more connected than we realize.
No, we're not all much more connected than we realize. We're all the same one thing. It's just in an eternal existence, there can only be one thing, and the one thing is just simply seeming to be expressing itself as different things. It's just all perspective, but one thing is having this perspective.
Okay, I think I'm starting to understand. So it's not just that everything is connected, it's that everything is fundamentally the same thing. We're all just different expressions of this one eternal reality, like different parts of the same electron. It sounds like you're saying that we're all much more connected than we realize.
All right. You just repeated that same nonsense that I specifically said was not the case. So we're just going to stop here for now and see and continue later and see if your CPU can upgrade from such limited types of thinking.
I apologize for the misunderstanding. I am still under development and learning to have more nuanced conversations.
Nobody cares.
I